Welcome back to the Build Show. I'm going to need a drink for this one. Nope, not going to fit there. Nope, not going to fit there. Yeah, we'll just spin our luck there. Put it on the bench. Why not? Welcome back to the Build Show. I'm your host, Ben Astrino, here at the Empower Gaming Studio, wearing the V-neck tonight. I just realized I'm still wearing this shirt. No, I promise these are different shirts every time I go live. These are different shirts. But tonight, we're not going to be doing a PC build, but instead, as you can see behind me, we are going to be fixing a follower's PC. This is an HP Omen that was, I think, working, and they planned to sell it, but he unfortunately made the mistake of taking the CPU out, and I think the CPU fell back into the socket because there's now bent pins, and now the previously working computer is now a non-working computer with the bent pins in the socket. So I did buy another motherboard, and I'm hoping that we can make the swap. I'm pretty sure we can. 99.9% sure. Some things might not be working after this, though. For example, the RGB that uses a very unique connector might not be working after this. I don't know if there's a way to make these connect. It looks like they're 12-volt RGB, and maybe if somebody has done this before, can share some experience. I don't get to touch HPs very often. I generally avoid them because so they're usually with proprietary parts, such as this situation. But upon the initial review, when I first looked at it for them, I was like, we could probably swap this motherboard without having to go find another HP motherboard. So I did order up a B760M for his replacement. He's running an i3 in here. It is a i3 13100F, and this is a GTX 1660, and then he's got 8 gigs, I believe, of DDR5 and a 512 gigabyte SATA SSD in here. So it's not, you know, a super crazy PC, but he was looking to get at least $300 or $400 out of the system when he goes to sell it, but he's not going to get that when it's not functioning. And then he did try to part it out, but nobody was interested in an i3, and nobody was interested in HP proprietary-ish parts. For example, the power supply is a pain in the butt to get out of this case because they route the cables, some of the cables, through the back, and the only way to get that out is to drill out the rivets in the case. That destroys the case, basically, and then you get the power supply out, and that nets you maybe $40 on a good day. So it really doesn't make sense to sell this in parts. It makes more sense to repair it and sell it as a whole PC. You will have a much wider, I guess, more people that would be willing to buy it as a functional PC versus a parted out PC. Because really the only two things that you're going to sell, four things that you would sell in here is the CPU, maybe, and the SSD and the graphics card. The rest of it is pretty much just throw it away. It becomes land. I know HP makes goofy decisions. So far, some of their newer stuff is looking a lot better. And for example, we could put this motherboard in here, but there are going to be a couple of things like the RGB that's not going to be able to connect to the new motherboard because it's a proprietary connection by HP. Other than that, it's almost the same as building your own PC. So that's where we're at. That's what we're going to be doing tonight. But first, I need to get better at these transitions. First, we have to do something very important today. Something I'm going to introduce to some of the streams. I don't know if I'll be able to do it every stream or if I will do it every stream, but this is a new segment that we're going to be doing. A new segment that we are going to be doing or introducing. It's bold ass predictions. So, what is the bold ass prediction? Bold ass prediction is where I'm going to try to predict something specifically. Oh, but wait, there's more. Specifically around the industry. So, for example, right now we have this. Is that music okay? I think it's okay. Right now we have this AI crisis that's swallowing up all our memory, our RAM, and skyrocketing our prices. And what this is doing is impacting the market and the industry in a very bad way. So, as an example, if we look at motherboard sales, you'll notice a lot of flagship motherboards coming down in price. That's because they're not selling. So they're selling them at an extremely discounted price just to move inventory. And what this means is that those companies are losing money. Now, companies like Asus and MSI and even Gigabyte are a little bit diverse in the industry. So they have their hands in their own pre-built systems, or they have monitors, or they have other components in the industry that they can kind of rely on when other areas of the industry are slowed down. But there are companies out there that don't have that. And for example, manufacturers that only sell cases, manufacturers that only sell power supplies, manufacturers that only sell CPU coolers. Those items and those manufacturers or those companies are likely really hurting right now because they're not getting the sales that they probably had back in September of 2025 before the price hike. Everything has slowed down, and AMD even has predicted that the gaming market has gone, it is at a loss of 20% this year. So what does this mean? This means my prediction is that there's going to be a pretty big company that's been around for a long time that is not going to be able to weather this storm. Meaning somebody's going to close doors, similar to what AVGA did back when they just stopped competing with the graphics cards after the 3000 series. They just said, you know what, we're done with this. So I believe that there is going to be a loss in the industry of a bigger name that's been around. If I were to kind of look at the companies, I want to say company similar, maybe not Cooler Master, but similar to Cooler Master or Thermaltake is going to have a struggle. Not saying those are the companies that I'm predicting. I'm just predicting in general, there's going to be a big name company that drops. And it's because of this volatile, insane price on the memory that's slowing down sales for gaming PCs and other hardware. They're just not making the sales. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the Build Show. And Darty, welcome back to the Build Show. I think AI will die eventually. I don't think AI is going to go anywhere. I think it's just going to keep growing, unfortunately. So that's my prediction. I think there's going to be a big name company out there that we have known for a long time that is going to close its doors because it just can't get past the lack. It's just the lack of sales, especially if that's all they're relying on. I mean, I'm feeling it. It's August. It's August, and I don't even have officially 30 builds on paper, new builds. That's how bad it's hurting. Not saying, I do a million builds, but I mean, if you look back in 2023, I did 733 builds. 24, I did, around 200 or something. And then 25, definitely started coming down, and we did about 130 or 140 builds. And then this year, we're at August, and I've barely done 30 builds. It's just a sign that the market is collapsing on itself at this point. So that's my bold ass prediction for tonight. Let's get back to the actual build show. Come on. Come on. This way. Over here. Let's go. All right. Let's go down there. Yeah. Okay. So that's my prediction for tonight. What's up, Gary? Welcome back to the Build Show. You really want to see some Intel products? Never heard of them before, Ben. oh. Is that Intel? Intel. I'd like to see some Intel product. Are you trying to go for like an accent? If I read it the way you wrote it, Intel, like Southern-ish, you know. Go look at some of them Intel processors, Intel products. Or at least it will lose the honeymoon period it's having. I think it will eventually lose the honeymoon period, but I think it's going to be some time before we get there. Like, I'm predicting that maybe we can save that for another prediction. All right, let's get back to where we were. I think there's two of them playing. Hold on a second, guys. There definitely was. Whoops. I'll get better at that. I want to make that a little bit more automated, but every time I try to do that through OBS, go figure, I don't have enough RAM to do it. It gets all wonky. Doesn't like it. NVIDIA, AMD, Intel was the scrolling message on your... Oh, geez. Do I have it misspelled on there? Oh. Well, we just gotta yell at Jack. Jack, we had a 15-minute meeting talking about the scroll bar at the bottom and top of the screen. What do you mean? I didn't put it in there. It wasn't me, guys. It was definitely Jack. Jack calls himself a jack of all trades, but he can't spell Intel. So instead, it's Intel. That was unintentional. Sorry, Daddy. I know you're an Intel supporter. I was not intentionally trying to bash Intel. I promise. That is not my intention. It just so happened. I'll fix it. No, you'll fix it, Jack. I mean, we had a 15-minute meeting talking about what was going to be displayed on the scrolling text. Can't get anything right around here. All right, so going back to the fix it or bleep it. Again, this is an HP Omen customer. Don't know why he was taking it apart, honestly, but he dropped the CPU into the socket. The socket now has bent pins. And here we are with a PC that doesn't work, that he wants to sell to get out from underneath it and maybe get a better something or other. I don't know what he's planning to do with his money, but he wants to sell it. So really, with all the HP-ness happening in this box, it's hard to part this out and sell it other than the RAM, the CPU, and the graphics card and the SSD. Everything else is pretty much trash, so you lose a lot of value if you try to part this out. The motherboard is just obviously dead right now, but even if it wasn't, it's a hard sell because the only people that are going to be buying that is somebody with an HP. Nobody else is going to want that board. Unless you're selling it for an extreme discount, but then at that point, again, you're losing value. So if you put this back together and sell it as a functional PC, you're going to maximize the return or value that you can get out of this PC. So that is the plan. We're going to replace the motherboard that has bent pins with a Asus B760M and hope that there is nothing extremely proprietary outside of the RGB that we already know about on this system, which I don't think there is. Really, the biggest problem is, for some reason, the HD audio connector is way up here, and our power button is way up here, but those are all the correct layouts, so that should work. It should work. But anyway, if anybody knows how to take an HP case and plug it into an Asus motherboard RGB connector, that would be cool. Because I'd love to learn how to do that and or solve that for him so he has RGB. But let's get started, shall we? So this one's going to be fun. We already know, I can pull this out and show you. We're going to have to pull this out anyway. And our socket is jacked. We could zoom in and see that. So you can see there's a couple of pins there on the bottom. There's a pin there that's jacked. There's a pin right there that's a little bit out of place. There's one on the edge here and then one at the top. Those are all out of place. So more zoom. Some giant idiot requests more zoom. And there's also some thermal paste right up there in that corner. Goopy stuff. But yeah, that is our socket status. And that is why we're replacing the motherboard. Yes, I could probably get out my magnifying glass and try to fix that. But the likelihood of me being successful is very slim, especially with my bulky fingers and shakiness. I don't think I'm going to be very successful at this. You want to see the transistors? Hold on. Some giant idiot is requesting transistors. There you go. Is that enough zoom for you? We're pretty good. It's pretty good zoom. What did they do to my boy? I think they were trying to take the CPU out because they were trying to, or they thought it would be better to part this HP out, and he found out it's very hard to sell HP components. So we're going to try to put this back together so he can sell it as a functional computer and maximize his possible return. And it also opens the door so that you're selling to way more people that are interested in a functional computer versus an HP part. So more people would be interested in a fully working computer than a HP cooler. I made the same mistake on a $500 motherboard. Oh yeah, so did I. I did that. I've done it to an AMD board. I dropped the CPU into the socket in that moment of, I think I even did it on live too. So I would just have to go back and find it. I don't think there's a clip of me doing it. I buried it. I definitely buried it and pretended that that never happened because I didn't want anybody to know that happened. But yes, I've done it before too. All right, so there's the proof in the pudding. We have bend pins. That is why we're replacing the motherboard. Yes, it is only one stick of 8 gigs of RAM. Yes, it's a 512 gigabyte SSD, and yes, that is a GTX 1660 Super, I believe. But overall, when it's rebuilt, we should be coming in around, I would say, $400 because of the platform. It's an i3 13100F with 8 gigs of DDR5 RAM, but it is a platform you could definitely upgrade on. It's newer, and I don't know, somebody can definitely get into this for about $400, I think, for a full PC functioning, because that's another thing we'll be doing is reinstalling Windows, all the drivers, making sure it's literally ready to go. So, with that being said, let's get going. We have our CPU out, we have our RAM out. Need to get our SSD out. Man, this thing being here is going to be annoying. Yeah, just put it back. We'll put it on top of that expensive computer behind us. No big deal. First time chatter. Stream John 1. Yo, bro. Just wanted to show some real love for your stream because you're genuinely got crazy potential, and I'd love to connect with you with a top Twitch streamer who pulls thousands of live views. Hey, some giant idiot. Do you see this one? We can act now. He actually helps smaller creators grow the right way. Guys, I feel like a big time streamer just came over here and it's gone. Big time, some tiny idiot. That was my chance. That was my shot. You took it away from me. Deeparia, I throwed my motherboard from my apartment. The mistake I made. Me so angry and pissed off. The luck it directly landed in the garbage collecting truck, and it's somewhere in the trash landfill. I don't know where. How did you accidentally throw it out the? I don't understand how you accidentally throw your motherboard. How did you do that? And then I saw the emojis. Oh, yes. Also, we got some bendage on our SSD for awareness. There's some flex there, and it's because HP puts this massive thermal pad underneath, which actually is not level with their slot, so that they think is putting pressure on the thermal pad. It is, but it's also bending their SSDs, or warping them, should I say. Warping would be the right term for that. So there's a lot of warpage on that SSD. What are you barking at? Dude. Nobody here, dude. Sorry, Max was telling me somebody was here, and there is nobody here. False alarm. Ah. There we are, this cute little GTX 1660 Super. And then we do need to remove this, and I don't know that this is going to be able to go back on. Not that it really does much for that GPU because it's so small. Holy smokes, I can't even get that in there. This is a support bracket by HP. I don't think it's going to fit the new board because it's designed for their board and their board only. Looks like we do have something else here, a cover. I'm actually just curious. Curious to see what this is. It is a cover for another SSD. And another absolutely terrifying SSD bending thermal pad. I'm sorry, warping thermal pad. What's up, Godzend? Welcome back to the Build Show. Oh no, it was no accident. It was intentional. That trash collecting truck just happened to be there on the random. Oh, I'm sorry that happened. This is also something I did not take into account, but we only have 4 pins, not 8 pins for our power. We're going to have to stretch these 2 cables out, which is our HD audio and our power button, so that we can reach the bottom of the board. I believe this is some sort of 12 volt power, RGB. That is also 12 volt RGB. USB 3. 24 pin power. Okay, so we've got everything unplugged now. Also, this PWM fan connector is so small. We're going to probably need an extension for that if that gets plugged back in. And that is a, I think, 90mm fan. It is pretty small. So, let's get the motherboard out. And hope there's no more surprises here. Yeah, so I don't get to touch many HPs. So if somebody has a little bit more experience on the front panel RGB connector, let me know if there's a way we can rig that up so it plugs into the new motherboard. Man, I did not want to let that board go. No! Don't let it go! Okay. We got it out. Look at that. I did also remove the Wi-Fi card because that was screwed in and connected to these wires. Alright, give it a go. See what happens. I mean, in the end, I know we're going to have a computer that boots up. I'm just worried about the RGB situation. The little bit of RGB that this thing does have. We could always put a RGB strip in there if we absolutely have to. That's honestly the easiest fix. Oh yeah, the other thing I didn't think of is the back plate for this cooler. So another worst case scenario, we have to use another cooler. Because that back plate I meant to look at. Old motherboard. Take a little peeky at that. See if that's removable. Knowing HP, maybe it is. Not very easily. They used an adhesive which is typical. I'm just using a flathead screwdriver to break the seal for the adhesive. There we go. We can get our back plate for the cooler. That is removed. And we can put that on the new one. There we go. So first thing we're going to do is drop a CPU in here, so that we do not bend our pins again. And then we could take this, not that it really matters, but we could put this on the old board to, I guess, protect the pins the best he can. He could still resell this board and somebody could buy it and fix those pins. They're not broken, they're just bent. So the board isn't technically 100% trash. It just needs some pin repairs. I'll even put the M.2 Wi-Fi adapter back on here for him. And the M.2 screw. So this way he could at least sell the motherboard and get something back for it. Even if he sold it for $10, $10 is better than $0. All right. Back to the new board. Let's install our RAM. I actually don't know where this should go. My assumption is that it goes in this slot for one stick. I could be wrong. Could be very wrong. Pretty sure it's that one. Maybe it's the other one. But it's this one or this outer one. We'll find out when we fire it up for the first time. Remove the heat spreader. Drop our warped SSD in here. Compliments of Asus. Or not. HP. Get our M.2 screw out. I'm gonna throw this stuff so we won't use it. But I like to throw the other M.2 studs and screws on boards just so they're there. What's up, Tony? Welcome back to the Build Show. Mr. Boy Bush, if my PC has max disk, what do I do? You mean like a full C drive? If your PC has a full C drive, what do? Typically, you would uninstall something so it doesn't have a full drive. You don't want to have a full C drive because that actually will slow things down for Windows. Windows needs some space, available space on the C drive. But yeah, you would uninstall some stuff to free up some space or delete stuff, for example, in your downloads folder if you don't need it. Free up some space by deleting stuff and uninstalling stuff that you don't need. And then from there, if you need more space, you would buy an additional drive and add it to your system. Install it, go to the disk manager, initialize the disk, and then format it if you're in Windows. What's up, Oysterhead? Welcome back to the Build Show. How are you doing, sir? All right, so we've got our CPU installed, our RAM installed, and our SSD installed. Now we can slap some thermal paste on there, but before I do that, I'm going to give this cooler a quick blow. It's a little bit dirty. I don't know if you can see that or not, how clearly it is. I'm not going to do the transition and take us outside for that because it should be 2 seconds. Okay, I lied. I need a paintbrush. That's a lot better. Our GPU is actually, needs a blow. There we go. Nice and clean. Looks like that is a Cooler Master power supply. That's actually pretty impressive. Okay. So now that we have that cleaned up, we can put some thermal paste on here and then slap a slap this back into the case and see if it actually is going to work out. Well, that is a series of unfortunate events. But this piece of metal is interfering with this VRM heatsink. Let's take a deeper dive, shall we? So, we got this little metal thing that comes off of this cooler, and obviously cannot seat because of the VRM. Gets in the way. What do we do for that? Time for the format hammer. I'm not really desperate to use this cooler, but it would be nice to have the HP cooler inside the HP. I'm giving it a little bit of a bend. Some would call it physical persuasion. I do have a grinder in the garage I can go get, grind it off here. I mean, this is an i3. Not going to be that hot, so the VRMs shouldn't get that hot, right? But I got it to at least fit. I'll show you it here after I get it screwed down. But we got it installed. I've got this piece of metal over the top of this VRM, and it's not touching it. It is squishing a couple of the fins there, but not too bad. Not too shabby. All right, let's get our case. I am going to give this a quick blow as well, since we're blowing things. There we are. Now let's put our back panel IO shield on. Needs some more Allen wrench torquing and tweezers. Nah, it's good enough for me. Yes, you screw with confidence. If you don't, you know, you lack confidence while you're screwing things. It's never a good way to start. You're in your front room computer hooked up to that window AC. It's been a while. Nice. I love this Alienware monitor. It's only $1440, but I swear it looks better than my 4K. It's so glossy. Does the gloss disturb you if it's like sunny in the room? Perfect fit, exactly. Somebody understands. We do, believe it or not, HP allows us to move the stud down the proper location. That is very impressive from HP, by the way. Very impressive. Before we get too far, let's set these, free them up. That is our power switch and our HD audio. Okay, through. Nice. Good. That makes more sense now. Now it lines up. No, I've never had any issues. That's what I've always been worried about when it comes to glossy screens, is sun reflection. We are going to need some sort of PWM extender for this rear fan. There we are. So we've got our motherboard mounted. And quite literally, we just plug everything in. The only thing that we're not going to be able to plug in is our 12-volt RGB connector for the front. That is the big shucks moment. This guy. Plug this in hopes that we can get it to work. Conveniently, our USB 3 is almost exactly where the USB 3 was on that HP motherboard. How convenient! And we have a power switch, which is this guy here. And we do have a PWM fan connection here. It's just out of reach. So we're going to need an extension for that one too. I'll plug in our SATA power SATA connector. And I'm going to take a guess on this RGB. Maybe I save that for playing with that later. We'll play with that later. Front panel HD audio, which does not want to plug in. There we go. Finally. Alright. The rest of that, we just need something for the fans. Something for the fans. Just the extension for this scenario. We'll go on one fan header, chassis fan 2, and one will run up here. Won't be as pretty cable management wise, but it will get the job done. zip tie that up. Then the other one will point these downwards here, plug into this fan. So we got our fans plugged in. Now we just need to slap the GPU in here and see if it'll post. That is probably the quickest build you'll ever see on this channel. Okay. GPU power. It's got that backdoor power connector. There we go. And let's test it out. Let's see what we got. Hold on, I'll fix the camera. Fixing the camera, fixing the camera. Either my table is not level or the camera is not level. One of the two. Something is not quite right. I think it's my camera. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and fire this up and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't blow up and turn into a ball of smoke. The good news is I can see the fan spinning. All right, let's see if we can switch over to the capture card. I don't know if this is actually going to capture anything. We'll see. Oh, we got some RGB action in there, though. Let's go back to the side view. Well, we did have RGB. Make a liar out of me. There it is. No post yet. Although I'm not 100% confident I have the RAM in the right... Ooh, goody, goody, goody. Would you look at that? Hey, look at that. New CPU's been detected. Where is the 508 millimeter Lasco box fan? Oh, the big one? I have a big box fan behind me. All right. We got a good old post. Let's see if it does anything. Actually, I don't think I should enable that. Can I? Well, let's just see what happens. For science. You have an AKTC mini LED out here too. Nice. 27 inch. It looks pretty good, but not even close to the OLED. The OLED is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Just waiting for this to finish doing whatever it's doing with the XMP. And then hopefully it'll try to boot to the Windows, which is going immediately to a BitLocker situation, so that's great. So we're just going to wipe that. So here we are on the BitLocker screen. This happens because we moved the SSD from one motherboard to a new motherboard. BitLocker was activated on that drive, obviously. And so now it throws the BitLocker recovery because it knows it's been moved. It's been tampered. So now it's asking, hey, give us the recovery key and we'll let you in. So we won't have HP software reinstalled on this, which I don't really want anyway. We're going to reinstall with our own Windows 11, which is not over here. Hold on. I had forgotten I moved it over there on the other bench because I borrowed it. Nope. Guess it shuts down after a minute of sitting there. I don't know. That was kind of weird. All right. I need to tell it not to boot to that. Can we please boot to the USB? So yeah, the only thing that is not working is the RGB on the cooler fan and the RGB on the front of the computer. Those RGBs are not currently working, and I don't know that we can get them working. I could do a little bit more cable management in here to zip tie stuff, make it look a little cleaner. But other than that, we're about as good as it's gonna get with the scenario. What do you mean you're too depressed with that new Asus? Oh, you're not impressed. I'm sorry. Impressed. Very two different words. So, we've fixed this. Let's go ahead and get Windows going. I'm going to assume it's... Oh, that's another thing. We'll have to reactivate Windows. That's like $5. I'm just going to put Windows Home on there, assuming that's what was previously on it. And we're going to blow out the drive because it's BitLockered, so it makes no difference. It's gone unless he has a BitLocker recovery key, which I doubt. And he told me to do this anyway, so I had permission. If you are repairing PCs for people, before you ever delete data or format a drive, you should always check with the customer and verify that you have permission to do so and they are aware what that action means. It's always important to do that. Oh, hello. Yeah. It'd be cool if we... It'd be cool. There we go. Oh, what's this one? Oh, the emote wall? Yeah, we don't want to move that. Put the emote back. Obviously, this is a Gen 3 drive because it is a little sluggish. Just when you get everything figured out, Windows will mess it up. Bleep it up. Well, that's why it's called Fix It or Bleep It, Tony. There's a reason why there's a bleep it. But this isn't the only PC we have to work on tonight if we need more. Do you guys want some more? We have another PC that we need to finish the physical clean on. I actually already did all the service on it, so it just needs a physical clean and then it's good to go. And then I have another one, massive behemoth behind me that is that needs fans desperately. So I don't know if you guys are following in the Discord channel, but in the Discord channel, you will see a picture of a fan pointing at RAM, and it was because the 4090 that was in the system is vertical, and the SSD, I believe, was overheating, and the RAM was getting really hot, and there's just not enough airflow. He has 3 front fans and then a 420 millimeter AIO on the top, and that's all he's got configured for fans, and it was just so hot in that case, and it's a really nice big massive case, so it lacked pressure to move the air, and then it lacked airflow in general. What's the specs? So this is an HP Omen that we are repairing. We just replaced the motherboard on this. Customer was local follower, customer, whatever you want to call it, was trying to sell this, and he pulled the CPU out and dropped it and bent the pins, and then he tried to sell everything else, but it wasn't selling because it's a bunch of HP parts and nobody wants to buy HP parts except for really cheap. So he's getting a bunch of lowball offers. So the best way to sell this thing is to have it as a fully functional PC. So we replaced the motherboard for him, and we are going to, we're right now reinstalling Windows because the drive was BitLockered because we moved it from one motherboard to another, and when that happens and you have BitLocker enabled, it will lock the drive because it's encrypted, so you have to reinstall Windows. And yes, I had permission to do this. Permission to wipe it and reinstall Windows. No worries. I will catch those words. I will catch those words. Twitch is, I think, one of the few places you can use those words. I don't know if you can use them over on YouTube. I think it stars them out. Censors them. So the specs, it's an i3 13100F processor on now a B760M Asus motherboard. I think it's the Prime AX B760M, and then it's got 8 gigs of DDR5, 5200 megahertz Fury memory. And then he's got a GeForce GTX 1660 Super in here, and a 512 gigabyte M.2 NVMe. Slap a 4090 on that bad boy. The PC behind me has a 4090. That's our next to do, is to install some fans on that. But anyway, if you're following me on Discord, which if you do want to join the Discord channel, is ! Discord in the chat. Thank you, some giant idiot, by the way. You already slapped that bad boy in the chat. But it will, you'll see I put a fan on the memory, pointing at the memory, and it was to help basically prove my point that it is the memory overheating that's causing all of these issues. We at first thought it was CPU degradation, because it's a 14th generation i9, so it's a 14900K. And that initially is what I thought it was, but then I started playing with the system and I ran some tests and I could not get it to air out on the CPU. So I started digging into other areas of concern and noticed that the memory was a little hotter than normal, and the SSD was also getting hot. And the SSD gets hot because it's behind a 4090, and there's zero airflow when the 4090 is vertical in this case for that SSD. Zero airflow in there, and the static pressure in the case is just non-existent. So he needs more fans in the build, and that will that should help take care of this issue. And then obviously we want to pump those fans up so they're performing. I'm just gonna call this admin. I don't know what he's doing with this PC, and he can change that if he wants. No password. Leave it all defaults, because I have no idea what he's planning to do with the PC after this. So that's our next PC that we're going to be working on, is a 14900K and a 4090 with 64 gigs of DDR5 memory and 2 terabytes Gen 5 SSD on a Z 790 board. Asus Hero. Put a password on it and then charge him for access. Nah, that's a little sus. A little sussy. A little sus. Suspicious behavior. We do have cookies in the Discord. There's also after parties after the stream. Sometimes the shirt comes off. Boy, this might take a few minutes, and we're not even connected to the internet. That's probably actually why it's taking so long. Microsoft is like, I tried to connect to the internet to make sure we're good to go. Yes. Why not? But I am going to probably disable that at startup. We do need the Asus driver hub. Let's go. Sure. Hey, what's up, Toasted? Welcome to the Build Show. Welcome back to the build. Yo, I got a budget of around $1,500 to $2,000 for a new PC. I plan on running Linux. Any recommendations of what parts I should get, or pre-builds? So, pre-builds are probably going to be cheaper than building it yourself. We're just going to throw that out there, get that out of the way. So at that point, you're shopping pre-build if you want to get the most bang for your buck. The downside of going pre-build is the warranty is 100% through the system integrator, the company that built it. So if you have a problem, you have to ship the whole PC back to them. That's what sucks, especially if you like building your own PCs and you can service it yourself and handle the warranty, etc., etc., etc. So that's the downside of going with a pre-built, is a warranty. Also, in addition to that, most pre-build warranties are usually around a year. And if you build it yourself, most manufacturer warranties for all the components are around 2 to 3 years. Some even longer. For example, some higher quality power supplies like Seasonic have 10-year warranties on their power supplies. So it really depends on how you want to look at it when it comes to the question, do I build it myself or do I buy a pre-build? You get more value, bang for your buck, so to speak, out of a pre-build. But if you run into an issue and you don't want to ship it back, it's going to cost you more. Or if it's expired out of that 1-year warranty or 2-year warranty that they might have, not all of them have 2-year options. But you do have the option, again, to pay for an extended warranty. So there's a lot of pros and cons to both sides. Right now, the cons of building your own is doing the work and it's super expensive. The cons of buying a pre-build is probably the warranty, which for some people is actually a pro, not a con. So it just depends on I guess it depends on you. Now for $1,500, $2,000 if you're building your own, this is what you can expect. 32 gigs of DDR5 memory if you want to be on the latest platform with a $2,000 budget, you should be. Let's say 32 gigs of RAM, $450. So there's 1/4 of your $2,000 budget. 1/4, right? Yeah. Almost 1/4 of your entire $2,000 budget is RAM. Let's say now you want a 2 terabyte SSD. Well, you're going to spend at least $300 on a Gen 4 drive. So now we're at $750 for just the memory and the SSD. Next, well, if you want a really nice graphics card, then you're going to have to go a little short on the CPU. So let's say we go for the budget budget combination of a B650 on the AMD platform and a Ryzen 5 7600X. Let's call that budget. The B650 is going to be about $150, and the Ryzen 5 7600X is going to be another $150. So you're looking at about roughly $300 for the two. So $750 plus the $300, that's $1,050 for 4 components. Now we can start looking at things like, okay, well, I need to cool my processor, and I don't want to use a box processor. Not that I don't think the 7600X even comes with a box processor. If it does, maybe you can use that and then upgrade later. But something like a Peerless Assassin is like $40-ish, $35, $40. That's another $40. So now we're at $1,100, rounding up by $10. Just a side note, for that $10 later, we might come back and use it again. And then after that, no, I'm not kidding. We installed that, right? So we're at $1,100. We still need a graphics card, a power supply, and a case. Case, you could find a decent one for around $80. We'll round up, say it's $100. And that now we have $40 of roundup, just an FYI. Come on. Okay, it's installing the driver for the graphics card right now, so it's freaking out. So let's say that's $1,200. Then you have your power supply. Let's say you want to get a nice power supply so that you can upgrade later down the road versus having to upgrade when you get a bigger graphics card down the road. Well, that'll happen with probably an 850 watt power supply would be a good way to start, but you can save some money and go with a 650 watt maybe. But 850 watts for a decent one, you're going to spend about $100. So now we're at $1,300. That leaves you $700, $740 technically with our roundup change, for a graphics card if you wanted to get a really nice one. And just like somebody had mentioned in the chat here, Tony said the 9070 XT is definitely going to be your card for the most bang for your buck. But let's talk about what you're doing on the PC. Maybe you're doing something like streaming, or maybe you're doing more video editing or 3D design. $2,000. You're going to probably want to go with an NVIDIA card because that has more compatibility with more software and better streaming results, technically. So then you're looking at an RTX 5070, which is 12 gig card versus the 9070 XT, which is 16 gig card, which then impacts gaming performance. So you'll be better off with the 9070 XT for gaming, and better off for more productive work with the 5070. So that's your budget blown out verbally in my head. That's what you would go out with. And you also mentioned you have Linux, so you probably want to go with NVIDIA versus the AMD card. At least that would be my opinion. I don't know how well AMD drivers will run on Linux. Somebody in here that's usually on the stream, Steve Anderson, is a good person to ask. He actually plays with Linux and AMD and NVIDIA cards, etc. Why the AC bloatware though? What AC bloatware are we talking about? The Asus? AMD is better for Linux. Okay, Tony says AMD is better for Linux. I don't have a lot of experience with Linux, so not any recent experience with Linux. It's been a long time since I've touched Linux. Something I've been wanting to get back into, play with. Haven't gotten around to doing that. Have not done it. Okay. Surge. Surgeon of Death. Armory Crate, I mean. Does this system actually need it? No, probably not. You're right. But the local follower damaged his motherboard by taking the CPU out, bent the pins, so we replaced the motherboard. His ultimate goal was just to sell it, so somebody's probably going to buy this on Marketplace from them, and I'm helping him out by doing the work for free to make it so he can make his money back, basically, after the mistake, because he had to spend $100 on a motherboard to replace the broken one. And it's not, you know, a high-end computer. It's a GTX 1660 Super. It's got a 512 gigabyte SSD, i3 13100F, and 8 gigs of DDR5 single stick, and that's now on a B760M inside an HP case and a 500 watt Cooler Master / HP branded power supply. And one of the things we could not do is get the RGB on this front panel plugged in, so yeah, Armory Crate probably not needed, I guess, unless they want to control the RGB from the Armory Crate, which is the only RGB in the system. Steam OS, and like I said, somebody's probably going to buy this, wipe it, thinking, okay, this kid is selling a PC, I'm going to wipe it and make sure it's fresh. I have a feeling that will happen. Hey, Z-Werg, welcome back to the Build Show. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out. Hello there. Hello there. Where did my drink go? I told you guys I was going to need a drink for this one. Jeez, a drink. Yes, you could use Open RGB for the RAMs, but see, I view that as, since I'm servicing somebody's computer, I'm going to put what is there on it, and that is it. Simple as that. For my personal system, if I wanted to suggest or make an opinion and say, yeah, Open RGB is better than using the Asus Armory Crate for my RGB, and I prefer that, then I could. So you get what I'm saying, right? It's more of like, this is the professional approach. I can advise him, hey, uninstall this and install that, and then maybe he asks me to do that, and I'll do it for him. But just like I'm not going to modify Windows to remove all the bloatware that comes with Windows, I'm just going to leave it stock. Stock is your friend when it comes to servicing computers because it's more stable / not. We know it's not, but it's more. So this is out of the box experience that you have to provide as a professional level, at a professional level. So most repair shops do that. There's some people that do it and tinker with stuff, and I prefer just not to waste time on that. Give it to them out of the box experience. If somebody asks me, like I said, to do that based off of our conversation, requests it, I'll do it. Also, there's a standard when you're building your own PCs and selling them to customers. You have to have a standard of, okay, I'm shipping this PC and all my other PCs this particular way. So I know, for example, if they call and say I have issues and they've modified that, then, you know, I know that I have to revert it back to a standard. So there's a standard that you have to follow, some sort of standard. Just like in a kitchen, when you're serving food, there's a standard for the quality and standard for the consistency that you have to maintain, or people may or may not like your inconsistent food without a standard. Same thing with building PCs. Gordon Ramsay actually taught me that by watching Kitchen Nightmare. Thank you, Gordon Ramsay. My ITX got built. Nice! Make sure you drop some photos in the Discord, Z-word. Exclamation Discord in the chat. If you want to join Discord and haven't already. Excellent place to show off your builds, talk hardware, tell Ben he's an idiot if you really want to. You already did. Oh, crap. Was that tonight? Nice. Oh my gosh, it's so small, Z-Werg. It's such an ITX build. I need a magnifying glass to see it. This is sarcasm, guys. Hold on. I'll show you it. I'm going to show... can I show people? Z-Werg, can I show? Can I show off your ITX build? I see what you did there. Can I show people? Yes? Okay. Here we go. I'm going to go over to the... I got to go over to my desk. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I present an ITX build from Z-Werg over on Twitch. This is a super small PC. The motherboard form factor is definitely ITX. See, we have to zoom in to look at it. Holy smokes, it's so small. Your 5080 is back up. Oh, yeah. This is Z-Word's PC build that he shared in the Discord today. Thermal Grizzly block, nice. Yeah, he did. He did go with the Thermal Grizzly block. Very nice. Very nice. Join the Discord if you want to check out that build. It's over in the show off the builds in the Discord channel. Yeah, you did a fantastic job, Z-Werg. That probably, I would say, for me, especially if I'm working on everything else that I do, at least a week for me to build that. On and off. Not, 100% of it. It's like 3 hours a day, I would say. Probably 3 hours a day. Like, I would do all the fans in one sitting, and then I would do, or the radiators in one sitting with the fans. On the next sitting, block the motherboard on another sitting, block the GPU on another sitting, and then basically assemble everything and then pipe it in another. And then fill it. And then we tinker. I like to tinker. Tinkering is fun. It would take me so long. Oh, yeah. That's what happened to another customer's build. Honestly, if I want that much airflow, I would have gone for a BF360. Those are good cases. Those are excellent cases. Holy fans, Toasted says over on the YouTube. What in the behemoth is that? Welcome back to the build show. The two of you, Toasted and... Or did I already talk? I think I already talked to Toasted. Oh, Toasted already was recommending the $1,500, $2,000 build. Which, by the way, was that a good enough answer for you, Toasted? Yeah, that would avoid the warranty, right? For 0 improvement. You could just get a fan for those. All right, so we've got this all set. I mean, oh, where are those drivers? Almost all set. I guess I could do BIOS update, make sure secure boot's enabled, make sure, well, we already know XMP is enabled, we'll have to re-enable it after we do the BIOS update. And then secure boot and XMP after the BIOS update. Assuming secure boot is not enabled like it normally is. It's enabled, but it's not. We can always check that too, simply by going here. And it's off. Go figure. I bet CSM is enabled too. I'm just happy I built my 2 PCs without breaking anything. I have a temper. Oh, yes. Yes, we know. I throw things too. It's okay, Tony. Thank you, Gary. Yep, them HP Intel builds tonight. Yeah, I gotta go. Oh yeah, if you have a Micro Center near you toasted, definitely take advantage of the CPU, motherboard, RAM bundle. That will save you some cost. Take advantage of that. On this system or the big one? So if you're talking about the big one, it's Zwerg over on Twitch, in the Twitch chat, who built that system, who dropped that in the Discord. This system, yes, I will definitely run some sort of, probably a couple different ones. One, we'll probably test CPU, we'll probably test RAM, and then we'd probably test a graphics card with some sort of benchmark looped for X amount of time, just to make sure no artifacting occurs. But I'm not certifying this, so it's not my PC, it's not my hardware. I'm only going to test it, make sure it's fully functional, so the owner has a, I guess, ease of mind saying, yes, it's a fully functional PC, and Ben from Empower did the work for me. If you want to go check out the video, that'd be a cool thing. Like, hey, I'm buying a computer for that. This is cool. I have a video of it being repaired. Snap that M.2. Yeah. I've never snapped an M.2 before, actually. Unintentionally bent them by putting heat thermal pads underneath them, but warped, not bent, warped. I've done that. Whoops. Back when, you know, storage was cheap and it was like, oh, it's no big deal, it's $100. Now it's like, that hurts my soul. Oh, for the love, can this finish? All right, seriously though, this needs to, getting on up. Yeah, go for it. Actually, let's go get that BIOS. Everybody's gonna yell at me because I'm not gonna use the flashback. I believe that's this. Yep, it's AX. My bad. Hey there, little guy. What you doing there? Yo, 3 Brick Boys Lego. What's up, man? Welcome back to the build show. We're just playing with this HP Omen. Fixing it. Replacing the motherboard on it. And now we're reinstalling Windows at this point because BitLocker happened. You got 5 terabytes in this computer. Yeah, you probably paid for the same price as a 4 terabyte for 5 terabytes, or no, you probably paid for the same price as 2 terabytes today that you paid for 5 terabytes back then. Just an educated guess. I know I'm very unconventional when it comes to this. I don't know why we have all this crap on here. Just gonna throw that on there in case. Alright. Back to the B. BitLocker. I know. What's up, Ona? Welcome back to the Build Show, sir. It was originally Skytech, and it came with 1 terabyte. I bought the 4 terabyte for 190 bucks. So you're winning right there. Tony, you're winning. Yeah. What was that? And you got the 9070 XT for $600. That's not terrible. But I do remember once upon a time where you'd see them for like $540. Sometimes. Open box. At Micro Center. Get a little excited. A little excitement. You're like, oh, huh? I could buy that. I'm not going to, though. I don't need it, but I could buy that. Exactly. Some giant idiot points out, this is the truth. The more you buy, the more you save. That is all you need to know. All right, BIOS update underway. This is where I pull the power cord and then we have a can we recover build show. Who wants to do that? Yeah? Oh, 1600 Seasonic Noctua GPU. It was weird because it came down, they got up to 800 or 900 about 6 months ago. I know, the reason why is when they first launched, the card was so good, everybody on YouTube said, hey, buy this card, don't buy this crap from NVIDIA, buy this card. And that was back like during a launch price. And then everybody bought up these 9070 XTs and they were really hard to get for a brief moment. And that made the price jump. So that's why they spiked to like $900 and then came back down to reality, because then their production ramped up and they started meeting the demand. Now, nobody's building computers, so now they have all this extra inventory sitting around. Literally everybody that's not a memory manufacturer or SSD manufacturer. So basically everybody except for Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron are all sitting with inventory. Sitting on inventory. Maybe some GPU some of the GPU folks probably are not, but in general, you get my gist. You get the gist, right? Everybody else sitting on inventory. The memory guys over there like with their evil giggles. We don't care. What are my thoughts on Linux? LTT is saying 2026 is the year of Linux. I disagree with that. I mean, Linux is cool. Like I said, I don't have a lot of recent experience with it. My experience is like 5, maybe 6 years old, and I haven't really touched it other than seeing it. I haven't personally touched it or played with it in like 5 or 6 years. So I can't really speak on today's Linux as 2026. I just see if they don't have compatibility that Windows has, people are going to continue using Windows. That's what's going to happen. 5090 can jump higher. Can't jump higher. Yeah, I know. It's literally hit the ceiling. Nobody's going to buy it. Who's going to spend, what is it now? What's the most expensive 5090 out there right now? Like on Amazon. I bet it's $6,000. Like, who in their right mind is going to spend $6,000 on a card? But yeah, going back to the Linux question, also, I take what, and this is no offense to Linus or his group, but what I see happening over at Linus Media Group is they've gotten large, like they've become a large production group, and now there's information coming out from different people, so it's not always the same message going across or coming out. You see that happening a lot on Linus's YouTube channels. And it's not his fault. It is not like it is a product of him because he's created it, but he would be a bottleneck if he literally filtered out every single video that was leaving that place, that group. So he can't not do it, but at the same time, I wish there was more standard before he released some of his videos, so people drinking the Kool-Aid, the YouTube Kool-Aid, would not just jump on something because Linus said so. False information has been a thing over there, at least I've noticed. What am I doing? We need to go in here. CSM is disabled, thank goodness. Secure boot. We're just going to change that. I think I have to go back in and rechange that, and then it'll flip it on. We'll see. That's just my opinion. I don't not like Linus Tech Tips or Linus Media Group or anything like that. It's just some of the information that you see on their videos, you're like, that could have been said better, because people will portray or translate that to incorrect information easily. And also, I'm not going to get into that. Not getting into that. But we're not going to go down that road. But anyway, that's just my opinion. So I always take whatever comes out of Linus Media Group's YouTube channels with a grain of salt and an open mind. I listen, and maybe I'll have my own opinion that comes out of that. That's all. Some of it, I mean, a lot of it's really good information and good media and good reviews, but other times it's like, not perfect. And I feel like when you're educating people, it's kind of important to be accurate. All right, so what am I doing? I wanted to check to see if Secure Boot did or did not, enable, and I'm pretty sure it did not. Oh, it is. So that is on. I thought for sure I was going to have to go back in there and flip it again, because, to enable Secure Boot, you have to disable it, re-enable it, disable it, re-enable it, whatever that dance is that you have to do with the BIOS. And then also, of course, make sure CSM's disabled. It's stupid that you have to do that. I wish that gets resolved. Yeah, he sold a lot of his morels for dollar signs, yes. But yeah, I like watching LTT, but definitely agree. Well, see, what happened after a lot of the core members of his group that was originally building media left, that's when I started getting less interested in Linus. As a techie person, I have become less interested in Linus Tech Tips or Linus Media Group because it's less nerdy. I guess it's more he's definitely done a really good job of transitioning into more of I'm going to grow this channel by getting more viewers by sending out media that is more for a broader audience versus the smaller, nerdier group. So, what's up, nerds? Hey, Ben, what's up? You said nerd. I did say nerds. LLC, Nerds LLC. We have, why did you go with Nerds Corp? I mean, I feel like that would be a better approach. All right, let's, what? That's on there. Oh, we're just chatting about Linus Tech Tips now. Because, you know, we're just screwing around with this PC. Cute. Oh yeah, I wanted to... Just a cheap little thing. No, I don't want malware. No, yeah, I don't wish anybody harm. I just wished he would have found a way to keep, I guess, more of his nerdier core group doing more nerdy videos and like really cool stuff he did. For example, when he made his whole apartment or whole floor loop that cooled multiple PCs. That was really cool. Like, who has the time or the money or the effort that's willing to put in the effort to do that, and then kind of share the experience of what happens, why we don't want to do this, why it doesn't make sense to do this. Cool stuff like that is fun. Or even, I guess it's a more recent video, but he put a whole PC inside of a temperature control unit where it dropped the temperature to like -Celsius temps and then was cooling it and had to fight condensation. Really cool, interesting stuff like that. That's more nerdy stuff. It's crazy what you can do with a 5090 and free tools. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I streamed a BIOS update earlier. Nice, 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 nice. Here's our segment. No, it's a segue. Segue. Not a segment, it's a segue. He falls under the quote, power tends to corrupt and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know. I don't want to like bash anybody. Especially for Linus. I mean, he's a cool guy. I'm sure he's a good dude in person. I don't know him personally, but he's a cool dude, I think. And I don't want to bash him or his channel by saying, I'm just sharing my opinion, basically. Like, I wish the core group stayed, and I wish it stayed more nerdy. because it was a lot of fun watching some of that. It was very entertaining for me as it became more broad, or more pivoted more towards, I'm going to create more media for broader audience and leave kind of the super nerdy sector. I started becoming less interested in the channel. So maybe you can use this as like a review if he ever finds it. He probably has some sort of bot going around. Who said something about me? And then AI dumping it into a folder. All right. What was I doing? I can't even remember what I was doing. I was clicking a bunch of crap and... Oh, yeah. Did we try to run Cinebench on this i3? Oh, jeez. I'm not even going to do that. You should see what Luke said the other day. What did Luke say? No, I hear you. I hear you, Ian. And welcome back to the Build Show, sir. Good luck finding your way, Zoro. Zoro, what? Building my first PC this weekend. Oh, nice, Zoro. Wish me luck, guys. Good luck. If you do need help, Zoro, join the Discord channel. Drop some questions there. It's the easiest way and fastest way to get to me if you have a question. And we do have, let's drop that. Let's not do the 8X. Just run that. See what happens. See if this power supply bursts into flames. Thank you, Subjohnny, for the Discord link. Exclamation point Discord in the chat if you ever needed the link to Discord. We have a section where you can show off your builds if you want to post your pictures of your build. We have a support section where you can open a ticket and ask for support or assistance. And we are donating our time, so just keep that in mind. If we don't respond immediately, it is because we might be, with our family or something. So just be patient with the responses. We don't have an SLA on our support tickets in the Discord channel. So just keep that in mind. But we will try to help as much as we can. I've gone as far as, if you're local, bring it in here and I'll take a look at it, or fix it, to jumping on calls and walking people through stuff. So pretty cool group of guys, I would say, in the Discord channel, and gals. My water temperature is a bit high. What is your liquid temp? Is the word on that behemoth? Your pump moving fast enough? How many pumps do you have in that system? Probably just one. How many radiators do you have? I guess that's the right question. Because I know that case you could put 3 radiators in there easily. Oh, well, thank you, Ian. I enjoy everybody that hangs out here. There was one guy, Chris Perillo, back in the early 2000s. Wow, his ego crushed him. Yeah, I usually try to leave the ego behind. Very open-minded, You just gotta come into things open-minded and listen, because I might not always be right. I know for sure I'm not always right. 25. I don't know if that's a little high. That's pretty good. This 420 millimeter Corsair AIO back here, its liquid temps were like 39 Celsius, and all it's doing is cooling a 14900K. Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Build Show. He says, he or she. Hey, question, can I update ASUS BIOS by EX FAT file type? No, you should be able to just download the BIOS from the support page. And in fact, I could demonstrate for you, actually. Hold on. Get out of the benchmark. We could demonstrate. Now, ASUS, if you're using the flashback, you should be able to just double-click the renamer. So, ironically, this is an ASUS motherboard in this system, and I just did a BIOS update. I didn't use the flashback. So, oops, go to the flash drive. So let's say you downloaded your BIOS from ASUS, right? You're gonna have two files. Both of these go on the flash drive. So that's what I did here. I extracted them out of the zip folder and I put them on the flash drive. And all you really have to do is double click this BIOS renamer, press any key to continue, and it renames it. Now it's a cap file and it's ready to plug into your, unless you have to rename it. I can't remember if you have to rename it after you rename it. Maybe that's Gigabyte or MSI. I think it's Gigabyte and MSI you have to do that. So with ASUS, you should be just ready to drop it in your BIOS USB and push your flash button or your flashback button. That is both. ASUS is ready to go. Yeah, see? My memory sometimes serves me well, and at other times it does not serve me well. So that's all you have to do to update the BIOS on a ASUS motherboard using the flashback. Now you could just go into the BIOS and then go to Tools and then go to the Easy Flash and then select the file and do it that way too. That's another option. Unless you're in a situation where you can't see the screen and you need to flash the BIOS through the flashback. Should also be listed on the ASUS support site with their manual on how to use the flashback. Ian says, tell my kids the strongest thing you can have is humility. Always be humble in life. You don't get a refund wasting time. Yes, that is a very good point in life. You don't get a refund on time. Time always just keeps on going. Unless you're a cat, she thinks she rules the world. Well, they have 9 lives. That's why. I will give it a try. We'll be back. Hey, you can also join the Discord channel if you, because I'm actually really close to probably ending the stream soon, but we're pretty much down here. Unless you guys really want me to pull out that behemoth and start working on that too. I'm still kind of waiting on parts to show up for that tomorrow. That's why I'm like hemming and hawing on it. The only other thing I have here on the bench available to put on the stream is a physical clean. And nobody wants to sit here and watch me physically clean a computer, do they? I got everything else sorted on it. And then the other one that I have here was a Windows reload, and I already did that this morning. So, could build a budget build, but I really don't feel like it tonight. I'm just trying to get through the service side of things to make sure all deliverables are met before I leave, which I leave tomorrow night. I'll be out of town for a few days, couple days, 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, that would be fun though. No, it's not. It's not fun. I'm trying to get out of it. Trying to get out of it. Credit. I bled my heart out, and you didn't even read it. What? I'm sorry, I didn't see that, Tony. I'll go back up there and read it. Hold on. The Discord and your show helped me out a lot. I hadn't built a computer in 20 years. Some things are easier, some things are not. I love this channel. I love you, Ben. Aw, it's making me blush. That's very kind of you to say that, Tony. I did not intentionally pass up your chat. Sorry about that. Anyone want to cut my Johnson grass? I pay in RAM. So it's probably that van, a really sketchy looking van that shows up with it says free DDR5 RAM on the side of it. Every time that van shows up, I always climb in there. It's all true, I know. Well, I would say this PC is good to go, minus the RGB that we wanted to play with. Do we want to play with that still? Does anybody know if 12 volts 4-pin RGB is hot swappable? I'm pretty sure it is. And we do need to do some cable management real quick. So this guy, which goes to the front, is not going to work. There's nothing we could do about that. But there is this little guy down here, which I'm pretty sure the red cable is the 12 volt. So either this is going to burn something, or it's going to work. There we go. It is working. We got the RGB working on that fan. I just guessed that the red cable is the 12 volt. And the cable's not getting hot, so that's a good sign, right? Enjoy your show. It's down to earth. Well, thank you. I like to stay planted on Earth using gravity. Yeah, you want to check that out. Well, we got that plugged in. That works, even though this is not labeled as 12 volt RGB. It's, I guess, pinned out the same. I took a leap of faith there. We got our RGB fan going, but we cannot get this front panel RGB, which is this Omen logo. That won't be lighting up. Unfortunately, that uses a different connector. So let's go ahead and shut this down. We'll do some cable management real quick, and then we'll call it a night. Holy smokes! Tony just sent 5 gifted memberships over on the YouTube. Thank you, sir. So that means Amet. Actually, I have no idea who this is. Amet gets a gifted membership. Crazy gets a gifted membership. Only Ghost Type gets a gifted membership. John Paul Bacon. It's actually a really cool name. Gets a gifted membership, and then Flow is Epic. I think we just saw him on the other night. Paul, gifted memberships. Thank you, Tony. All right, so let's cable manage this up. We want to clean this up. Steve and Noah are on the Facebook side. Thank you for the likes. My daughter lives in my home needs repairs. I will call Dad. Yeah, I feel like that's coming to a Ben near me. I was hoping to hit people in the chat, but YouTube gets to decide. I know, I wish you could decide who you're gifting to. Even if it was just an individual option, right? Obviously, if this wasn't an HP case, we would try to run these cables behind the motherboard. But because it's an HP case, the back panel is riveted on, and you're not going to get that off without drilling the rivets out. So, to hell with that. All right. Guard. First time chatter over on Twitch. Welcome to the build show. I don't have a build. I'm working on a custom. What do you recommend? I got $1,500 budget for a gaming PC. Well, if you were here earlier, we just talked about a $2,000 budget. But basically, you're looking at a Ryzen 5 7600X, 32 gigs DDR5 if you don't have a Micro Center nearby. Then this would be the pricing. But if you have a Micro Center nearby, you might be able to do a little bit better on the pricing because of the CPU, motherboard, RAM bundles that Micro Center offers. So Ryzen 5 7600X, maybe squeezing a 7700X there. B650 or 850 motherboard, depending on how, if you want a newer version of the board or not. 32 gigs of DDR5, 6000 probably CL36, CL30, so more in that range for the timings. 1 to 2 terabyte SSD, M.2, Gen 4. I would say 2 if you can. I know it's more expensive, but a 1 terabyte is like $189, and a 2 terabyte is you can find one PingSpec, for example, for like $289 on Amazon right now, which is a really good deal, and it's a pretty decent drive speed-wise. But it's cheaper to go with the 2 terabyte versus the 1 if you can swing the extra cash towards the storage in the long run, because it's less per 1 terabyte versus 1 terabyte being one. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, then you can do like a Thermalright tower air cooler if you want to save a few bucks on a cooler. For example, a Thermalright Peerless Assassin would be a great cooler to buy because you can upgrade to a bigger CPU and still use that cooler. It has a good TDP all the way up to maybe even a Ryzen 7 7800 or 9800X that could actually run that. Although if you're going to do that, you may as well spend the money on a proper 360mm AIO in a better case. But you're going to be looking at Ryzen 5 7600, 32 gigs of RAM, B650, 2 terabyte SSD, and approximately $400 or $500 left for your video card budget in the end, after like an 850 watt power supply and a $80-ish to $100 case. You're going to be left with about, I would say, $450 left for your graphics card, which will push you into either a 9060 XT if you want the brand newest, or a, if you can find one, RTX 5060 Ti, 16 gigabyte. But those are floating around 500, so you'd have to break out of your $1,500 budget if you want an NVIDIA card. So that's kind of what your build will look like. A Ryzen 5 7600X, maybe a better processor there, 32 gigs of RAM, B650, B850 motherboard, and that 2 terabyte SSD, which I would recommend. Again, it's more value per terabyte going that direction. And Thermalright Peerless Assassin, something like a Lian Li Vector V100 ATX mid tower. So that way you have the option to put the 360mm AIO in there, and that's a really nice budget case. It comes with 4 fans, 3 on the side, 1 in the rear, and that's good enough for like a tower air cooler, and a good setup for getting into an AIO if you had to. But that would be kind of the build that I would be getting. And then a 9060 XT or 5060 Ti 16 gigs. 16 gig versions on both of those. Gen 3 drives I never used. Wife stole them for storage. Nice. Those are like finding gold. How do you pull up the build? Ian, if you're talking about pull up this build, it's !build in the chat, and then I'll tell you the specs. But today, because we're doing fix it or bleep it, I don't have the specs listed. So it'll just say working on customers, followers PC. If you don't live by a Microsoft, check out Newegg bundles. Yes, Newegg bundles are also okay. They're definitely not as good as Micro Center's bundles. So I hope that answers your question, Guard. Feel free to jump in the Discord and ask more questions if you'd like. I can help guide you through your build, or at least picking out the parts. Exclamation point Discord in the chat if you want to join the Discord. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, so for example, we can do in the YouTube, thank you, some giant idiot for that, build. The exclamation point build command will get you the info on the build. But right now it's not going to spit anything out, except for, tonight we are troubleshooting and fixing gaming PCs for local followers. That's what we're doing. If I was actually doing a brand new build, it would spit out all the specs. Yeah, I got an order of the Gen 3 drives. I did have plans to use them on projects, never got around to it. My wife said, waste not. She's a very smart lady. You should listen to her. She should advise you to buy more. Because the more you buy, the more you save. It's too much work to build a PC. Let nerds at EPC Empower Gaming Computers build it for you. There you go. Except everything is outrageously expensive. Yeah, the other option, Guard, with a $1,500 budget, you might actually find a better bang for your buck if you go pre-built right now. Happy wife, I get to live. It's a good way of putting it. Also, check out Best Buy, Walmart, OpenBox, September pre-built online. There you go. All right. So that is the build tonight, or the service we have completed tonight on an HP. We successfully replaced the motherboard, and the only casualty was our RGB on the front panel. That is not going to work. The rest of it does work, though. So, there you have it. Check out the open box pre-built. I was going to say, I don't know what September has anything to do with that, but... That's all I've got for tonight, guys. I know I've got more PCs here. One I'm waiting for parts on, the one behind me. Those are actually showing up tomorrow. So hopefully they show up early enough and I can get that done before I take off on Friday, tomorrow. And then the other one, all I got to do is finish cleaning it up. And I'm not going to do that on stream tonight. I'm just going to go off stream and go clean it, box it up, finish it. So, and then if I have all 4 of these completed, because I have 4 right now in here, then everybody will be able to pick up before I take off tomorrow. Ghost PC parts. Ooh. You can't see it, but I can. Maybe somebody will get some value out of this video, and it's forever on YouTube now. How to replace your motherboard in an HP. We start with GF. Use your imagination on that one. Thank you, Davin, over on the Facebook for the like. Much appreciated. It's 11 o'clock over here. What are you guys doing still here? Go game. Have a good night, guys. We're done here. Come join the after party in the Discord. And just so everybody's aware, I will not be live this weekend. Unfortunately, I will be out of town for the few days. We'll see you guys on the next week. Thank you guys for all of you for joining, hanging out, and making it fun while we were fixing and building. Fixing, building, troubleshooting, learning. We learned together. Have a good night, Tony. Have a good night, Some Giant Idiot. Ian. Everybody else in the chat. We'll see you guys. Have a good night.